Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Commerce Lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon FBA and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, CEO of Ecomcy. Today, we bring you another special guest. His name is Premkumar Anand, and he's the CEO and founder of eRetail Fest, which actually organizes great events in a yearly basis here in UK, which I have been. They are very good and I recommend them. And he's also the CEO and founder of ecomaz, which is a company that helps you with everything that has to do with automatization for your e-commerce business. Today's business topic is going to be around how to help you start an e-commerce business with a tight budget, and then we're also going to divert the conversation around how to automate your e-commerce in terms of operations. Now, without any further delay, let me introduce you. How you doing today?
Hey, Linda, thank you. Thanks for having me here. It's You're doing a great job with the e-commerce lab and with Ecomcy. And it was great meeting you at eRetail Fest as well. Thank you so much for having me here. And
No
hi
problem.
everyone. Hi everyone too.
Yeah, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I mean, it's a pleasure to have you here. I think I met you for the first time, and just as you mentioned, at the event here in London. I think it was amazing, all the speakers you brought together. I think here in UK specifically, we don't have a lot of events that has to do with Amazon and e-commerce. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
that was very well received among the community. So I want you to thank you for that. Great. So now, before we get started into today's topic, of course, I want to give you the chance to introduce yourself in terms of how you got started into the e-commerce space, and then, of course, how that gave you the opportunity to start the companies I just mentioned at the beginning.
Sure, sure. I'll go back in time really.
Got it.
I think it is 2012 is when me and my wife started looking at different e-commerce options. She was looking for a job, but she was finding the right job for her. She doesn't want to do the do the regular shop jobs or anything. She was a businesswoman back in India, and she wanted to do business here. And that's when we started looking at different e-commerce options. We looked at eBay, and we started selling like clothings on eBay. And in fact, we had been doing a little bit of retail arbitrage on eBay for some time. And in fact, buying stuff from 𝐃𝐎𝐿 in bulk
Yeah,
and selling it
it's like
there.
the Walmart here in UK.
Exactly. So that's the one which got us into the world of e-commerce, and that's where we trained ourselves into how we can do e-commerce. From the basic rules of that particular world. That's where we started, and I think in 2012 itself we gave up in between because it was retail arbitrage, not much happening
Yeah.
there. It's not a stable income. We gave up at a point where we tried to find what is a UPC code for Amazon.
Yeah.
As silly as that, we didn't have any network by then here in the UK. We moved away from India. We didn't have any network here in the UK. And what happened is we gave up totally on e-commerce. If we had known what's a UPC code, and if we had gone into Amazon with our private label business itself,
Yeah.
it's like 10 years of experience. Rather than that, we wasted 5 years. Fast forward to 2017, there was some dead stock. It's like the birthday balloons, which we bought long back in 2012.
Yeah.
We had like 300 of those pieces.
I
We
see.
kept it. We kept it at our backyard. I was listening to a podcast like yours, and the guy was talking about all about Amazon, and I said, "Okay, fine, I'm going to try this now." I went out and did some networking, and I learned a big deal about the UPC, which is not a big deal
Yeah.
by then. We got the UPC codes listed, and that's how we started our private label business altogether. So that's the background of our business. Apart from that, I was working for 𝐃𝐎𝐍 on their phone
Mm,
sales channels on the technical side.
okay.
So that's another angle for e-commerce for me because it's a big business, and
Yeah.
I was able to see it from the technical side, but having a taste for how the e-commerce managers are managing the channel. Yeah, so
That's great.
that's my background with e-commerce, and what we started with a dead stock with 150 pounds for the advertisement in 2017. Last year and 2021, we had an overall sales between different channels about 400k. We don't have credits. We haven't gone to any investors. It's just
Mm,
the money that we invested into the business, probably 10K throughout 2022. Sorry, not throughout 2022, but throughout
yeah,
2018, we invested just 12K, 10 to 12K roughly. That's pretty much it. And it was all rolled into what's the sales revenue today. That's
that's
the
amazing.
e-commerce background. Yeah, and
Yeah,
being on the technology side, obviously I have a technology spin up. I have a startup, ecomaz.ai, we got a team of 3 people helping medium to large enterprises and smaller scale businesses as well with any e-commerce operational automation that they need, especially on the Amazon. Yeah, so
that's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to congratulate you for your journey. I mean, you have really been starting from very small, and now you're here with already two companies, helping now other companies, and I think that's amazing. I think in the e-commerce space, that's usually most of the stories you find out there. Especially also my case, we start with is struggling, try to sell those products on Amazon or different channels. Then we discover the magic of trying to sell something on an internet without touching the product. Then we love the process, and then eventually we decide to provide this support and services to our people, which is at the end of the day also a great journey to pursue. So yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. So now I know you have extensive experience. I mean, of course, based on your story, I'm pretty sure that one of the number one struggle for you was the budget, right? Which I bet is the number one issue for most e-commerce sellers that they want to pursue this business. So I think to start today's topic, which is around how to start e-commerce business with a tight budget, I would like to start with maybe some of the number one mistakes you have seen people when starting with a small budget that you see that they should be avoiding to in order to avoid burning all the budget in the first few months and then be left in the dark as we have seen so many times in this
yeah.
community. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Yeah, so when I started my business in 2017, it's, the version 2 of my business,
Yeah.
the first thing I did along with that is start a community like yours, not to spin off a business of the community, but to actually learn from being in the center of the community. I'm an
Yeah.
introvert. I don't go out and talk to people, but putting myself into the center of a community allowed me to learn a lot
Yeah.
because information was coming into me. So
That's correct.
this community gave me quite a lot of quite a lot of contact points and a lot of sellers who are beginners because I was arranging meetings every month and they are free, right?
That's
People
great.
come through the door. When it is free, anyone who is curious comes through the
Yeah.
door, or anyone who has started just recently comes through the door. So I was looking at people who started 2 years ago and doing nothing, all the way to people who are doing 10 million, 10 million pounds in sales. So I had a big range of experience looking into what's going wrong here and what's not, what's going so good here,
Yeah.
right? So when I saw the people on the other side where they have started but either burnt out their budget or they haven't started at all, but they have
Mm.
been doing product research for 2 years as well. So when it comes to budget, the main mistake that people do is going full on into the business straight away without
Mhm.
understanding how
Yeah.
much learning they need to do in the initial days.
That's
For
correct.
example, an NHS nurse, for example, yeah, she got into the e-commerce business thinking she can escape her full-time job going
Mm.
into an e-commerce business.
Yeah.
But thing is, she didn't think about how much learning she needed to do, and she had like 10,000 in budget. The first thing she did is she signed up a course, and the course costed her 2,000 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing she did is she was following whatever the coach was telling her, and she was investing heavily on the branding. She was investing heavily on the product development. She was investing heavily on the first stock to come. So that's almost 8K burnt within 2 3 months time, right?
Yeah.
So that's an example I can say. And all I can suggest to people who are starting is that start small. Even if it is retail arbitrage, which is an area that many people try to avoid, go into it because you need to learn the e-commerce
Mm.
platforms. Take something, put it into any e-commerce
That's
platform, not
correct.
just Amazon or anywhere. Try to learn. the ropes really slowly. When I started with the dead stock, which was worth 300 pounds, but still it was
Yeah.
a dead stock. I didn't even invest on anything. I took it. The sale price of the product is £5, right? Just £5,
Yeah.
and the amount that I had to invest was just on the PPC, £150 probably. It was in
Yeah.
November, December in 2017. Right? So I invested just that bit. It started. I tried to learn how I can enlist the product, how I can run the PPC, what can go wrong on my PPC settings, and to even bring up a listing, I need a number of things like the images, the titles, etc. So if I need to prepare the images, I do not have the skills to prepare the images.
Yeah.
How am I going to get the images? Is it a freelancer or is it a photographer?
Hmm.
There is a lot of dynamics going into just getting it from zero to one sale, and
Yes.
that learning has to be done in a very safe scope rather than
Yes.
a full-blown scope of number of thousands invested,
Yeah.
and fingers crossed, hope it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
hope hope
I
is not the
mean,
best strategy at all.
yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, you touch on something that I always like to bring it to our audience, which is starting with online arbitrage or even going to physical store, just like you mentioned, Ticketmaster
Yeah,
in UK. I think, of course, it's not business model that's gonna make you tons of money, but the
yeah,
purpose here is to use it as a learning mechanism, so you can
exactly.
understand, as you mentioned, what is a UPC code, how to list a
Mm,
product in Amazon, how to get maybe approved for certain categories, how the Amazon Search Central platform looks like, what is
exactly.
PPC. Because I think what happens a lot of the times that people say, okay, I have 5, 10,000 K, they put everything, let's say, on inventory or images, and then they forget about it. They didn't even understand how to launch a product. They don't know what is PPC. They don't understand all the other miscellaneous costs that usually arises from having an Amazon business. And I
Mhm.
think that's where the issue usually happens, because people have believed that as soon as the inventory touches Amazon, money is gonna start coming in.
Yeah.
But we all know that
It's not that.
that's
It's
not
not
the
that.
case.
No.
Usually
No.
it's in the second or third shipment. Usually the
Yeah.
first shipment is just to get exposure and build your listing. So I think it's great that you mentioned those points for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the first product, and the second product which we launched was something to do with stationery specific to a particular niche. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's where we started. And even when we did that, we didn't source it from China all the way. We
Mm-hmm.
sourced it from local with a wholesaler. We
That's
took
good.
it, rebranded it. Even the rebranding happened within my garage. I took
Okay.
labels and
That's good.
whacked on the product. It was only 100 pieces of the item,
Yeah.
enlisted it.
Okay.
Then I got to see myself whether I can sell that one product, the second product, if I can
Yeah.
sell it, and what's the scale of the sales,
Yeah.
and whether I can expand further into it. Once I knew that it was definitely working, not just the product, but me as well. As a person, can I
Yeah.
sell this product? It's a marriage, right? The product and the person is a marriage, and you have to test that. You have to test
Yeah.
that relation in the market. Yeah,
That's
that's
great.
that's the that's the major mistake that people do.
Yeah.
I indeed invested close to 10K throughout 2018, right?
Yeah.
But it was trickled into the business slowly over 8 to 12 months. Okay.
That's correct.
And when I say slowly trickling, if I invest £1,000 and that £1,000 has already been tested with the £200,
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
think,
that's how I went on.
yeah, I think that's actually gonna come to my next question, which is gonna be around the budget that we usually advise. I mean, I understand that the topic today is around how to handle a business with a small budget, but realistically, there's actually a limit on how small that budget it must be.
Mhm.
So I wanted to ask you your opinion on this, based on your experience and seeing how the PPC is going to the roof in most categories. Competition is becoming severe, especially with all these aggregators coming to the space with millions of dollars, so they can pay $10 per click and they don't care.
Mhm.
So I think is, what do you advise right now to be on a
Mhm.
safe, yeah, on a safe boat in terms of embarking on this journey to have on your hand in terms of launching a product right now?
Yeah, so that's multiple questions. I can see 5 to 10 questions within that one question
Yeah.
there. Uh, All right, fine. So if you take if you ask me what's the budget, right?
Yeah,
I would
the budget.
say no.
Yeah,
The budget, I would say anywhere between 8K to 12K is what you
yes,
need, which is disposable. When I
that's
say
correct.
disposable, it's the money that you're ready to lose right now.
That's
Right?
correct. It's
Yeah,
an investment basically.
it's an investment. Yeah,
It's something you're putting extra to see if it works. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I'm not saying you're going to invest all that money right on day one. Like I said, trickle that
Number
into the
one
business.
mistake. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
trickle that into the business. And many people go down the route of patenting and IPs
Yeah.
in a very initial stage. Of course, you need to protect your brand, your product. But do you know of the water balloons? One of the products, which is Zuru's water balloons, right?
Yeah.
They have a patent, and they chase people definitely. But still, there are many of those products available in the market
Hmm.
which are not their own branded products, or
That's
no,
correct.
it violates their design for very sure,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
IPs and patents are kind of a myth, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
Unless you're a corporate who can go
Hmm.
behind people and sue them. So 8K to 12K is the budget that you start with, and trickle that in slowly into the business. And what else did you ask it?
Yeah.
Mhm. And the
Yeah, so
platform.
basically how to deal with the actually expenses, because I know 8 to 12K is important to have as a backup, but you also have, for example, PPC, which is a big expense towards your launch and your launch strategy. So how much maybe from that budget you
Sure.
will allocate just towards that, for example?
Okay. Yeah. So let's take two different examples here. So one person, who wants to start an e-commerce business, who does not have a clear idea about what they're going to sell. They are not a
Mm.
subject matter expert on a specific industry. And
Yeah,
there is a second person, is a person who's a subject matter expert. Let's say a carpenter who has invented something, who has something really cool to sell,
that's
or some deodorant that somebody has invented,
yeah,
something cool to sell again. So these are the two different people. You take the first person. That's what I'm going to cover more about here. So those
yeah,
are the majority of people coming into this
yes,
phase.
that's correct.
So those people, what you need to what they really need to do is find a way. There are multiple ways available to find a product which is sitting inside a little crook in a niche, right? To find that, I didn't use any tools like Helium 10 or Jungle Scout or eGrow. There are many tools available, but if
Yeah,
you use any of those tools, you will be able to find a product that is too low on PPC and really good on their margins. There are
yeah,
multiple strategies that you can take to increase your margin and reduce your PPC.
that's correct.
One of my key selling products has 2% in PPC, which I boast
That's
quite a
great.
lot about. Yeah,
That's good.
um, it's not massive sales, but it's massive margin for me.
Yeah,
A
which is
person,
it's amazing. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, a person selling maybe 10K, 20K per month earns the same amount of profit as I am when I am selling 5K to
that's
8K of the
correct.
same product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the
So
day, that's what matters. Yeah.
exactly. I used a very simple technique to do that. I used the bestseller category page of Amazon. I drill down at least to five subcategories, and then look at 20th or 30th product in a given 100 listing
That's great.
page, right? So I
Great.
take that, and I ensure that there is no manufacturing complexity in the product.
Hmm.
If there is manufacturing complexity, then I'm in for a big role there, because I need to invest quite a lot. I'm talking to a manufacturer and investing quite a lot on product
Inspections and
development.
all
So
that. Yeah.
exactly. If it is a staple product, you're in for a good start. I'm talking only for the people who are starting just now, not for the people who are deep into the business,
Yeah.
but for people who are starting. So for those people, find the least complex product and least heavy product as much as possible, and see to it that there is not many sellers when you search for the given product.
That's
That's
great.
pretty much what I do. I have an Excel sheet with 5 different parameters which are suitable for my business ambitions. I still
Mhm.
operate only with one garage and one 3PL partner. That's it. I don't spend much on my warehouses either. My operations are quite low weight, and my margins are quite high.
That's
That's
great.
how yeah, it's a cash-rich business. I have really like more than 100K in cash right now, disposable. I can invest in anything else.
That's good.
So to enable that, we need to have a methodology, and I have a sheet which I usually use with 5 different parameters, including whether there is competition, whether there is whether the weight, the heaviness of the product is good or not, and
Yes.
there are 5 different parameters that I use, and using those 5 parameters, I give a weightage and give a score out of 5. And if it is more than 4.25, I go for the product. Otherwise, I don't. How do I
That's great.
measure whether a particular product is selling or not? In the past, I have been using the card trick, the 999 card trick that
Yeah.
many people have
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
and explained probably. As simple as that. I use that, trace the product for a number of days, and I see the real data there, not the guesstimates that we see on Helium 10 or anywhere. I use Jungle Scout, eGrow sometimes as well to find the weightage that they give, but I don't stop there. I move
I see.
away from that. I just take that as an indication, and I want to see the real number through the 999 contract.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
This
Yeah,
is how I
that's very good. Yeah, I think that's a good point you touch on that, because I think a lot of people, when they use software tools, they get blind by that data and they just believe what they see on those softwares and they do nothing else. And I think what you mentioned right there, which is combining data from software, but data from manual work that you can get straight from Amazon, I think that's the perfect combination for sure. We also do that,
Absolutely.
and I think at the end of the day, that's the best way to validate data.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. All of this takes time. People think using
That's the
Jungle
thing.
Scout, yeah, that's it. I can start selling
Yeah,
this. You can't do that.
yeah, that's correct. Good. So I think now that we're actually talking about software, I think now is a perfect moment to jump to the second part of the topic, which is the automatization of your e-commerce business and how to help you basically to make everything more efficient in terms of time and
Mhm.
logistics around your business. So if we can start maybe touching around that, and what is usually your advice on that subject? Yeah,
Sure, sure. Again, let's talk from the smaller businesses, right? So
that's
people who
correct.
are just beginning, what are the problems that they mainly have? Let's talk from there. The core problem of many people to do with the e-commerce data that they are going to handle are two things. One, the profit and loss. To
That's
assess
correct.
whether a given product, the unit level profit and loss, and the business level profit and loss, this is one area, and the other area is bookkeeping and accounting. People think quite late into their business about bookkeeping and accounting, right? But it's very important
Yeah,
that when you start the business, you should have at least an Excel sheet
yeah.
which has the lines of expenses that you have had. Yeah,
It's surprising how many people don't understand their margins and expenses. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So let's start with the profit and loss. The reason why it is so complex to calculate the profit and loss in their e-commerce businesses, especially on Amazon, is that the number of fees that they incur, the Amazon fulfillment fees, and the PPC fees that they are paying for, and there are a few more, right? So if you're in US, there is sales tax that they deduct. Here it is VAT. So all these fees, you won't be able to visualize yourself, even if you are using a
Mm,
very sophisticated Excel sheet and
yeah,
downloading CSVs from Amazon, trying to do that. This,
it's crazy. Yeah.
it's difficult. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not easy. And why is it important to learn about the profit or loss of a given product? Is you're investing like if you are going by the trickling method where you invest smaller, you need to see how much profit this particular product is going to give you in the long run. So if you
that's
don't
correct.
have that idea, then the experiment that you're doing is invalid completely. So if you don't have a clear idea, let's say 500 pounds is spent on something, barring all the minimum order issues, etc. Let's say you are seeing a 10% profit and going ahead and investing 50,000 into it, and then suddenly you're seeing a loss. That's not a good place to be in. So to
Yes.
understand that, use some software. What I use is I used Helium 10 in the past. It got a bit costly for me over time.
Okay.
because I found other alternatives like seller board, right? Seller
I
board is
see.
quite good. It's
Yeah.
not costly, but still gives you a very clear indication of how much profit or loss I'm making in a given product. I have launched close to 30, 35 products until now from 2017.
That's great.
And I have dropped 15 products. And I'm proud to say that I dropped it because they made a loss, and
Yeah.
I
That's
tried
good.
enough, like for 1 year. I'm able to say that only using software. If you do not have an automation in your flow of work, then
Yeah.
you lose a big deal there.
Yeah.
So that's one area. And what's the business level profit and loss? The business level profit and loss is other expenses you may have outside of profit and loss for a given product unit, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at the business as a whole thing, you will be spending on things like you buy a laptop, or you buy probably a phone, or you go to a conference, pay to the conference. There's a lot of other expenses along with running a business, and you have to key all those into at least an Excel sheet to
Mm.
see whether your business is making profit or not. The
Yes.
other core expense that people incur are the photos taken for the product, enlisting, using a freelancer, or using an agency to touch the PPC, right? If you don't account all of that, then what can you assess about your business,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
we need to think about that. Yeah, so that's the second thing. And what's the last thing that I talked about? The last thing I talked about is what's that?
The
Come with
last
it.
thing, I think we touched already on dealing with
The
your
bookkeeping,
expenses,
yeah,
the bookkeeping. Yeah.
the
That.
bookkeeping. So the
Yeah. That's
bookkeeping,
correct.
for that I use I was using A2X in the past, and
Yes.
currently I'm using Link My Books. Link My Books is quite cool in terms of bringing your Amazon statement and Etsy statement. I have an Etsy shop as well.
Okay.
So both of that, it converts one disbursement into one invoice in zero, and once it goes into zero, it's just one particular line that I need to look at. So it matches my bank statement along with that invoice number quite
That's great.
cleverly. So before that, I was spending at least a couple of hours every month sorting out what's happening with my Amazon account. Right?
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. I saved at least 4 to 5 hours of Etsy and account,
Which is huge.
Etsy and
Yeah.
Amazon. Yeah, Etsy and Amazon reconciliation. I do my business with my wife, and I'm the clerk for her. I was the clerk for her, not
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
That's
So
good. Yeah. I mean, I think automatization is the future, especially in e-commerce, because just as you mentioned, even if you start with an Excel sheet and you try to be as detailed as possible, it reaches a point that keeping
mm,
up with the fees, changes, multiple sales, different channels, it becomes a nightmare. So I think
it is.
for
It
sure
is.
is the number one tip we should give to people starting on e-commerce for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
If you think about the medium to large enterprises, do I have more time? Oh,
Yes, of course. Yeah, we can touch on that. Yeah.
cool. So if you talk about medium to large enterprises, the problem is quite different for them. They are not so fussed about the bookkeeping and accounting because they got professionals in their team
That's
to deal
correct.
with it, and they probably use the same kind of tools as well to manage those. It's a second thought for them. For us small businesses, it is the main thought, main form, but it is a second thought for them. For them, it is more about the analytical data that they need about their sales, about their PPC, what changes they have done, and how it has affected the sales. Even changing a little picture impacts their business quite a lot. So that kind of data is what is more important for medium and large enterprises, especially aggregators and agencies. They want that data. Even though there are many tools available, for example, you can take TICA metrics,
Mm,
which is an ad optimization tool, Perpetua, which is an ad
yes.
optimization tool. So there are many tools that can help them, but it is all fragmented
It's not
here,
in
and
one
here.
place. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
in one place. People do use it. They find use for it, and it is all very important tools to have in their workflow. Apart from that, what they are always looking for is to get all the data, put it inside their own database, and try to visualize it, and make business decisions based on it. So it's like one data collected together, and then make decisions, visualize it,
The
do
best
business
way.
intelligence on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So keep these tools and do that as well, and that's what they are doing already. But to collect the data and putting it into a place, they usually play around with CSV files.
Yeah.
So download Excel sheets, put it into one
Which is
place,
it's a
process it.
nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Nightmare,
Yeah.
yeah. One agency told me they spend like 2-3 hours with the whole team downloading the CSVs for all their
Yeah.
client accounts on a Monday
I feel
morning.
that. Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
For
So
sure. Yeah.
I think there are many tools available these days to synchronize
Yeah.
the data, and what they call technically is a data lake, which means you bring data from a number of different sources. Let's say you are a brand, you are handling a brand which has a Shopify outlet, which has an Amazon outlet, and there are 10 other marketplaces as well. So if we need to get all of that, you need to have a whole band of integrations that's needed to get all the data into one place and for you to visualize all orders in a holistic view. And I think that's where softwares like Channel Advisor can help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a channel bridge as well, I guess. So there are many tools available to bring it up. Another thing that I can think about is Fivetran.
Yeah.
So that does that as well. But I don't think it does Amazon, but anything else
Yeah.
does it. Yeah, so that's where we are helping the agencies and
That's great.
aggregators to bring data from a number of different sources
That's
and put it
amazing.
into their data lake.
Yeah, yeah. I think especially these days, as you just mentioned, the aggregators. I bet that using these tools is number one priority, because if you don't see the data at a granular level in just one page, you
Mm,
can really value a business and make purchase decisions. I think that's
exactly.
gonna be definitely big in the coming years.
Yeah.
Well, I think today we covered very good topics. I mean, I really appreciate your time. Your knowledge is very valuable. That's why I want you to bring you here. I know you have extensive experience, and for sure I'm gonna have you back in future episodes. And before, of course, I close today's episode, I want you to give you the opportunity to share to our audience all your channels and websites and events as well, so people can find you and get in contact with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm doing this the yearly two conferences with the Retail Fest. The
Yeah,
next one is on 9th of June. So do come in, and
I'm gonna
I
be
got
there.
really cool topics.
Yeah,
Most likely, I will have people from TikTok and Facebook to talk about their advertising platforms, alongside people who are experts on Amazon and any other marketplaces as well. And as usual, I'm really content heavy, and I have got 4 different workshops and 7 different talks, a content-packed day. Potentially, it will extend into 2-day conference as well, depending on the fundraising that's going currently.
that's
Yeah,
great.
do come in.
Good. And also regarding your, you also have a company that help with automatization, right? So if you can
That's right.
briefly mention that, the where then people can find you for that.
Sure, sure. So you can find me at ecomaz, ecomaz.ai.
Okay.
If you go there, you can find about the company, and it's a very basic page there, but it gives you a rough idea about what we are doing. And we are already working with 2 clients. One is a data consultancy, and another is an Amazon agency, and they're already using the tool to get all their data and visualize within their companies, especially the agency. They use it to assign KPIs for their staff who are handling different client accounts, and the managers can see a wholesome view of how each staff is doing, how each client account is doing. So it's quite nice.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I would like to thank you once again for your time, and definitely see you on the next one. And take care. Okay.
Thanks for having me, Vincenzo, and thanks everyone for watching. Thank you.